Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin with the post-WrestleMania edition of Monday Night Raw, broadcast live on the USA Network last night from the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The show closed with Brock Lesnar turning on tag team partner Cody Rhodes before the bell of what had been billed as the main event of the show, pitting Lesnar and Rhodes against Solo Sikoa and Universal Champion Roman Reigns. The match never took place as Lesnar attacked Rhodes in the ring and around the ringside area for the last 10 minutes of the show.
Wait a second! What the hell? Lesnar just F5 Rhodes! Roman Reigns has no idea what's going on!
And this is hard to watch.
Oh my God, Lesnar just stepping on Cody's throat. You can see the tape rip. Cody still battered from last night's main event at WrestleMania.
The tag team match had been made earlier in the show after Rhodes confronted Reigns over the circumstances of his loss to the champion in their WrestleMania main event the night before. The show opened with Paul Triple H Levesque addressing the audience, assuring fans that news of the sale of WWE to Endeavor would not affect the weekly operations of the company.
But I am here to assure you, we ain't going nowhere. The same WWE that you love, the same WWE that put 161,000 people to the rafters in SoFi Stadium is going nowhere. The same WWE that you love, the superstars, the action, the drama, all of it. We are going nowhere.
Matt Riddle made his surprise return to WWE TV last night for the first time since last December, laying out The Miz during an in-ring promo segment. Platinum recording artist Bad Bunny, who was seated ringside for the show, was used in an angle with the Judgment Day in which he brawled with Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest outside the ring and was put through a table by Priest after Dominic had attacked his father Ray in the ring. Dominic's attack came moments after Ray's loss to United States champion Austin Theory. Also on the show, WWE World Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn made their first defense of the title, defeating the Street Profits when Zayn pinned Montez Ford. In other results, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair and SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley had an in-ring confrontation, Bobby Lashley pinned Mustafa Ali, Omos beat Elias, and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez went over Damage Control when Morgan pinned Dakota Kai. Moving to an update on the sale of WWE to Endeavor, WWE officials briefed employees on the sale late yesterday afternoon in a company-wide meeting hosted by Nick Khan, CFO Frank Riddick, and Chief Human Resources Officer Suzette Ramirez-Carr, with Paul Levesque joining via telephone. Employees were reportedly told that the board of directors had unanimously approved the deal and that it's expected to be completely finalized before the end of the year. A transition team is said to be in the works to help orchestrate Endeavor's takeover. A company-wide email from Vince McMahon was also reportedly shared, which reiterated that Levesque would remain on as Chief Content Officer and would continue to be in charge of creative under the Endeavor regime. With some injury news, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
Finn Balor received what appeared to be a severe laceration to the scalp during his Hell in a Cell match with Edge on Night 2 of WrestleMania. The injury appeared to take place when Edge hurled a ladder at his head during the match, leading to the match being paused for medics to tend to the wound. It was noted by Paul Levesque during the post-WrestleMania press conference and confirmed in a PW Insider report that Balor received staples to close the cut during the match itself so that he'd be able to continue. Balor shared a photo of the injury yesterday on social media, stressing that it's not a serious injury. He's not expected to miss any time. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
In NXT news, Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, the tag team known as both the Dyad and the Grizzled Young Veterans, have been offered their requested release from WWE, according to an update yesterday from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. The reason for the release request is not yet known. The two are reportedly under a 30-day non-compete clause and subsequent grace period before they take any potential independent bookings. The team was the original NXT UK Tag Team Champions and were most recently part of the Schism in NXT. And in some unfortunate news, one of wrestling's longest-running tag team wrestlers, Bob Miller, best known as Bushwhacker Butch of the tag team The Bushwhackers, passed away late Sunday night at the age of 78, as first announced yesterday by his in-ring partner of nearly 30 years, Brian Wickens, a.k.a. Bushwhacker Luke. Miller had been in poor health in recent years and made the trip to the United States from his native New Zealand for the first time in years to be with Wickens in Los Angeles over WrestleMania weekend. He suffered a medical emergency reportedly related to his medication and had to be hospitalized in the ICU Friday night. As both the Bushwhackers and in their previous incarnation as the bloodthirsty Kiwi Sheepherders, Butch and Luke appeared across North America for decades, beginning in the early 70s in Canadian territories like Stampede and Grand Prix. They held titles together in the Mid-Atlantic, the UWF, Florida, Memphis, the WWA, Puerto Rico, and elsewhere. But they would achieve their greatest fame and success in middle age after coming to the WWF in the late 80s as the Bushwhackers, transforming their ultra-violent act into a family-friendly one and becoming one of the WWF's most popular acts, despite never capturing the WWF World Tag Team title, remaining with the company for 8 years. Butch was inducted alongside Luke to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015 and the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2020. Wrote Wickens in a tribute to his fallen partner, quote, "This past weekend in Los Angeles, Bob flew in from New Zealand to join me for WrestleMania weekend and the related festivities, neither of us knowing it would be our last days together and the last days of his life. If you were to read the story of my life, it would say that I am an only child, but it would be wrong. In life, I had a brother, and his name was Bob Miller." End quote. Bob Miller, a.k.a. Bushwhacker Luke, dead at 78. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.